I started to write this after your recent stay in hospital, and here it is well into March. Life rolls along. I hope Ruth can share the few reflections and pictures attached as a thank you and tribute for your generosity of sharing the farm. I would call, but my voice doesn't hold up well. My heart is full of joy and warm memories because of your generosity in sharing your gift of the farm. Each solstice and equinox for almost 12 years, I had the honor of spending the weekend at Maple Creek Farm, lovingly hosted by you and the company of a gaggle of good-hearted men. I have but two regrets during my time: that I didn't keep a more detailed journal of our antics and activities, and there were many. And the second regret, that my son, now aged 9, I think he's a bit older now, Pete, 12? Yeah. Would not have the experience of being witness to good male role models working and playing on the land with all its seasonal glory. The rite of passage, making sure the gate down by the highway was latched so Star the horse wouldn't escape, or Phyllis the cow couldn't lead her bovine gang to freedom. We crossed and secured a second gate around the farmhouse and barn to keep the cattle and horses out, lest they feast on the garden or apple orchard. The lane is maintained by the community as it leads to an ancient planter's burial ground that was still accepting donations, especially if your name was Dimmock. As various cars arrived, we unloaded our meal contribution and sleeping gear and drums. Roger commandeered the loft over the back entrance. Couches, floor, and several beds upstairs were available, to the rule that further down from the potbelly stove would be colder, but the person closest to the stove would be the 3 a.m. stoker. That was me, one time at least. Winter solstice in particular, as the rooms heated up, the flies would falsely resurrect and congregate around the windows waiting for their anointed one. You remember this short list of antics: picking up a calf in the back of a van and delivering it somewhere, the lost kitten abandoned in the front yard and taken home by Peter because all 12 other men had an excuse why they couldn't take it home. P.S. The free kitty subsequently cost $400 in vet bills. Helping the neighbors shuffle his bull back through the gap in the broken fence. Moving the new outhouse and setting it up, testing the comfort. Yarding select cut trees by dragging them out with Star the horse, Power, G, and Haw. Erecting a 4-man treehouse platform 30 feet up a tree. Now, Peter didn't write this, but he slept there that night, and I was worried he'd fall out, and I had to check early the next morning to make sure he was okay, and he was. Chopping alder branches and walking in a line, broadcasting lime by hand to stave off the encroachment of nature. Our attempt at sweat lodge with rocks heated up on the open fire to steaming temperatures aided by water splashed, but for at least 4 of us on the bottom side where the cover tarp kept blowing up, with wind gusts running over like a perspiration lodge and a sweat lodge. Hiked to the top of the hill to see the farms in the valley and the tidal river flowing. Ralph would remind us on his arrival that the tradition was to walk to the top of the land to admire the vista, and I'm really pleased to say that we walked up there today as well. I just had to do it. Do you remember the weekend of the snowstorm where we parked the cars at the neighbor's farm and walked what seemed like a kilometer down the lane to the warm farmhouse hearth? Drumming together and sharing our stories with the talking stick. Cooking our various potluck offerings, and where the Don Himmelman Memorial Spatula would be used, and all cleaning up the water drawn from the well and heated on the wood stove like the good old days of yore. Meister Eckhart once said, if he had only one prayer, it would be, thank you. Your gift in sharing Maple Creek Farm has influenced me beyond measure, and 4 times a year I would have a chance to recharge under the influence of a community of good men before we go back to the real world and make a difference with our time and talent. Go forth, do good, stay blessed, and repeat a necessary, and always remember Ron and his farm. That was written by Peter.
Well done, Peter.
Thank you,
Nicely
Peter.
done, Peter.